Hey guys, I'm so sorry I haven't made a video in so long. It's very ENTP of me. I just procrastinated, putting it frankly, because I'd like to say I didn't have any time, but I did, and I chose not to. And I'm going to disappoint any MBTI people who are watching the video, because I'm not making something about MBTI, even though it'll definitely have that kind of influence on it. It's just something I was thinking about, and kind of a rambling of kind of typical ENTP rambling. Also INTPs would think about this kind of stuff that I was thinking about, and something that very ENTP, like ESTPs have the same thing, except I think to a greater extent, is a lack of empathy that I have. Like, lots of times I'll try to like make myself feel things almost. Like, I think a lot of ENTPs don't care enough to do this. I don't know though. Like, just some of them say that, although I'm not sure if all of them mean it. But with empathy, like, I'll force myself to feel things because I know I should be concerned. So if my friend's mom gets in the hospital, then I think I should be concerned about this. If her mom died, I would be sad. So then I am concerned, and I can really easily like pretend to have sympathy. But I want things to be genuine. I really, really don't want to be the kind of person who, like, for example, will sugarcoat something just to be nice. Like, I want to be honest and blunt in pretty much everything. And certain things you do have to sugarcoat with people, because some people just, you don't say things because you'll make people hate you. And sometimes people are okay. Some people are okay with people hating them, but I try to avoid that. Although I can't say I really go out of my way. But anyhow, so yeah, it's just so emotions in general, I don't feel strongly at all. I know I went to a psychologist a few weeks ago, and we did like this psychoanalysis type thing, and one of the things that was the very lowest thing out of everything was how much I feel things. I'm a pretty big T. There are only a few people I know that are bigger T's than I am, and I don't feel things strongly. I know that T versus F doesn't really have to do completely with how much you feel things, but I just in general, I'm a very neutral person kind of with my emotions. And so anyway, so what got me to thinking about this is the idea of like that love is not just an emotion. And I'm sure there are countless other people who have had this kind of same realization, but I was just thinking about it, and the idea of it is that, so like, I know like my friend, she was having this, she's one of my best friends, she's one of the closest people I am to, and actually probably the only person that I really feel like genuine empathy for. Like, other people have something like that I can kind of relate to or something like that, like I do feel a little bit of empathy, but it's usually like forced empathy. Like, I convince myself to feel the empathy. With her, it's a genuine emotion. And I think that's because, like, the combination of her being a T and being one of my closest friends, because the other person who this happens with is my sister, who's also a T. And just for some reason, T's I feel more empathy towards, I think because they tend to feel things less, so when they are feeling something, I'm like, wow, I can relate to it, too. But she was upset about stuff, and I didn't actually feel anything towards that her being upset. Like, it's not like I feel empathy with her all the time. And so I was like, but at the same time, I was making efforts to help her. And then I sat back and I thought, because we had just been talking together about how we don't feel empathy very strongly and stuff. She was an ESTP, so that's why I mentioned earlier that I wasn't sure if ESTPs might feel less empathy than I do. I'm really not sure about that. I think ENTPs might do a better job of faking it. I'm not sure which one, or maybe it depends on the person. Anyhow, yeah, so like, I sat back and I was like, why do I feel the need to help her? Like, it's not like I was like begrudgingly like, oh, I've got to like try and help her fix her problem. I wouldn't do that if I didn't genuinely want to fix it. And so I was like, why? Why do I feel the need to do this? Because I actually wasn't really feeling anything at all. I go through a lot of periods where I don't feel anything, and I've had people argue with me online, well, one person, an ENFP, and he was like, you definitely feel things 100% of the time. And I'm like, I would say about 10% of my day has emotions in it. Call me a sociopath, but, and actually I study sociopaths a lot. That's not what makes someone a sociopath. As you can see from my shirt, it's from Sherlock. Anyhow, so getting sidetracked, I think that's a common ENTP thing, or maybe just an ADD thing, or ENTPs tend to have ADD, or ADD is not actually a disorder, and it's just personality traits, and that's why ENTPs and INTPs tend to have ADD more often. Sidetrackedness, just, but yeah, so, gosh, staying focused. Yeah, so I was thinking maybe it was like a pride thing, so like I wanted to feel good about helping her, so like I wanted to solve the problem, and then she would, like, I don't know, I would feel good about solving the problem, but I would, normally whenever I do that, because I do that sometimes, I'll be like, I'll suggest something to help her, and someone will be like, say like they already thought of that or something, which, yeah, so whenever that happens, I'm always kind of like, well, like, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, have a negative response to it. And that didn't happen with this situation. And so I was like, so it's not a pride thing. And then I realized, like, we tend to associate love with an emotion. And I don't mean just the romantic kind of love. I mean just love towards people of any kind. And I don't think love is just an emotion. I think I was showing love to her and I was feeling love towards her, but not actually feeling the emotional act of love. I wanted to help her out of love, but not because I was like feeling love. And going onto sociopaths and psychopaths, which I just brought up a second ago, so there's the common idea that psychopaths can't feel love except for romantic love, and sociopaths can't feel love at all, like not even romantic love. And if love isn't necessarily feeling empathy and necessarily feeling emotion, then that would mean that psychopaths and sociopaths can feel love. It's just not the same kind of love as we do. And that's like huge theory-ness. It's not anything like that I've thought of like reasons why it would be true. But it's like, so yeah, so like I've always wondered that, because I am a Christian, so I believe that love anyone can feel it, and yet I've also believed that sociopaths and psychopaths can't feel love, and that's always puzzled me, like, how would those two fit? And I know that with psychopaths it's kind of a possessive, and even sociopaths, but sociopaths it's kind of more strategic, I think. Psychopaths, it's more possessive, like, you're mine, which I guess I kind of do that as well, in a way. I get possessive of my really close friends that I actually care about, but to them, their people are more objects. And I think that psychopaths and sociopaths are just fascinating, because it's like, you don't understand them. They've got totally different minds from you. It's like almost like studying an alien. And so, if on the off chance I get lucky and have someone who either believes they're a psychopath or sociopath, or aside from their personality type, like, I know sometimes ESTPs and ENTPs, and really just a lot of the TPs, I think, ESTPs and ENTPs in particular, and ISTPs. Anyhow, some personality types tend to generally act more sociopathic and psychopathic. I know that I've gone through periods where I'm like, huh, that was kind of sociopathic, I guess. I know I had a friend who thought I was a sociopath, which I was kind of pleased about in a way. But yeah, so, like, how does that work? So like I said at the beginning, this is totally rambling. I called it like ENTP's rambling. Yeah, this is completely rambling. But if love is not necessarily emotional, it can be rational. And psychopaths and sociopaths do feel it. Or not feel it, but I think that's a phrase that we have that's incorrect if this is true. That the idea that love is can be just without emotion. And that we feel love, we don't always feel it. It's why we can be angry at someone and still show love to them. And because just because you like do a loving act to someone when they're mad doesn't mean it's love. It just means you did a good thing to them. It has to be actually out of love. And so that's why when you're mad at someone, you can still show love to them, because it doesn't have to be an emotion. It doesn't have to be, because that's selfish, you know? Like, I'm feeling this towards you, so I'm going to show it. Like, I feel love, so therefore I'm going to give it out. It's just because love is separate. Emotions are more connected to, like, your heart. So, like the Bible says the human heart is naturally evil. You've got anger and sadness and joy, and you've got feelings that are of love, that are kind of loving feelings. But I think that that emotions can get all wrapped up and confused and stuff, and just overall impulsive and irrational. And love can be rational. We think of love as a very NF thing. To me, I've just seen that, like, if you get into all that kind of stuff, it's more of an NF thing. But I think it definitely can be an NT thing, and I think it can be a thing that belongs to people who don't have empathy, like psychopaths and sociopaths. So that's just an interesting thought I've had that popped into my head that I've never really thought about before, is the idea that love isn't so much an emotion as it is something else, something unique to itself, and it encompasses our mind and our heart, but it isn't our heart. Love is not our heart. It's not our emotions, and nor is it just our rational part. It encompasses it in it. Yeah. So yeah, that's just an interesting thought I've had. And thank you for letting me waste your time with this rambling if you actually made it to the end. And I promise I'll have actual MBTI videos coming out soon. I've got a list of ideas for them. So yeah, I actually do have an actual list for MBTI videos. So I'm working on it. It's just procrastination. Yeah, ENTP problems. So yeah, I promise to get those out. And bye.